It's 12:01, so
All
let's
right.
call this sucker to order.
Hello, Dr. Felton. How are you?
Great.
Get their coats off and sit down at least before we call to order.
All right. Or at least let her put her notebook down. All right.
All right, it's 12:02. Let's call to order the DDA meeting for February 16, 2024. Start with a roll call.
Sure. Dr. Felton,
Here.
Brian Ford,
Present.
Mayor Garrett, Mike Green,
Here.
Charlotte Jones, here. Pam Schermeyer,
Here.
Dan Sugg.
Here.
All right, you have a quorum.
Excellent. So we need a motion to approve the agenda.
Wait a second, we need a motion to excuse
Oh, I'm sorry.
Red
That's correct.
Move to excuse.
And
Is there a second?
and Mayor?
and the
Mayor Garrett?
You can add mayor if you'd like.
Yep, will do.
Okay. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we need a motion to approve the agenda.
All right. Motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we need a motion for approval of last month's minutes.
I did have the occasion to read through all of the minutes earlier today, so I will offer a motion to approve minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, so
That brings us to our agenda.
So I changed this up a little bit, right? So consent agenda, trying to speed us up. So despite that, I'm gonna be a little long-winded here for a second. So consent agenda, everything under here is approved under one motion. No discussion unless you make a motion to pull a specific item from the agenda for further discussion. Otherwise, once you guys approve it, then we'll just carry on to old business, etc. Does that make sense? And do you have any questions before we?
I'm sorry, Susie, I'm not following that. I mean, we had a motion to approve the agenda, which we did, so.
Right. So the consent agenda, these things are just kind of routine, right? They're reports that we don't necessarily need to go over specifically. So the consent agenda item.
Now I understand what you're saying. You're
Okay.
saying, okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Yep, move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right.
Now we have to the old business. All right, so last meeting we discussed our municipal park renovation. We're still working with the county. Still, we've gotten our revised quote for the parking lot, and I was waiting to hear back from Snyder Recreation for their revised plans. I ended up meeting with her, I think, the week after that our meeting, or later that week, to refine the design and kind of make it a little bit easier for us to implement. Ultimately, she presented a plan that is phased in thirds, right? The first phase being just under $200,000, and that's the largest piece of that play structure. Overall, the play structure itself is not a whole lot cheaper. I think she saved us about 20 grand. So all that said, the revised total project cost doing all three phases of the playground and still doing the landscaping and still reconstructing the parking lot, we're at about just over $800,000. If we only do phase one of the play structure and the landscaping and the parking lot, that brings it down to about 580 and a half. The county is still committed to providing 40% of those funds as matching costs, and I did have a conversation with them 2 days ago to see exactly how far, where's our wiggle room, right? Are they still interested? Are they still exploring the idea of increasing that match? How far can we scale our project back and still meet the parameters of their placemaking goals? And they're marinating over those now. But anyway you cut it, we have a funding gap still. I literally just got an email right before the meeting from Main Street America. That's the group that was pushing that GM Match on Main project that we applied for. We are unfortunately not selected for that, so that's a bummer, and I guess I need to remove that from any list that we have. We still have the T-Mobile grant that we're going to be applying for, and we still have the state's grants and the Ralph C. Wilson grant that Bruce brought up last month. So really, I want to figure out from you all. I would like some. Hello. We do.
Oh, good. You do have one?
Yeah.
Okay. Have a good night.
Oh.
You don't need me, right? Because I have to get on the road.
You gotta get on the road. You gotta get on the road. So really the long and short of it is, how do you want to proceed? Do you want to keep moving forward and going all the way for the municipal park renovation? Our next couple items coming up on the agenda are related to Southfield Road improvements. Do we want to maybe put a pause on the overall renovation, pick out pieces? I need direction.
When you say you're applying for other grants, that would fund some of the $141,000 that we're short, correct?
Absolutely.
Any idea approximately if those were awarded, how much of that would cover?
The T-Mobile grant is a $50,000 grant. So if we're successful in that one, we're still short.
Mm-hmm.
The Ralph C. Wilson grants, I don't know how much those are. I think we can assume for the sake of argument there's another 50,000, maybe more. The state's park grants can be significantly more. That would probably cover those costs, but I would imagine then that gets phased a little bit more aggressively, right? Like those applications open in April, they close in like June, and then they're not awarded until late fall, with construction then being next spring, summer. That would still align with what the county says in terms of spending, because their matching dollars are ARPA dollars, so it has to be spent by the end of end of 26, right? Yeah, 26. So.
All right, so if we just go with phase one, which budget or budgets would, and presuming that we might have to increase, money because we're probably not going to cover, from the way it sounds like with any grants we get, would that money have to come out of the 24-25 budget, or is it spread across 23-24, 24-25, 25-26?
Yes. It'd probably be spread across those dollars, right? Because
Okay.
for example, the landscaping, maybe if we were really aggressive about it, we could get it done this fiscal year.
And what does that entail exactly?
Well, that would entail the design and planting. Design of the gardens, planting of the gardens would be that portion of the project.
Okay, the gardens around the place?
Yes, all around
Structure.
City
Okay.
Hall building.
Oh, okay.
Predominantly the gardens behind, adjacent to the parking lot,
Okay.
right? That are bare for the most part, right? So that's one element of the project. I mean, it's feasible that we may be able to get the parking lot at least partially reconstructed. I mean, that's gonna have to be phased anyways, right? Like do one half now and the other half
Yeah,
afterwards.
but your quote doesn't phase the parking lot, it just phases the play structure.
Well, I guess I would say we need to look at the big picture before we can decide, okay, can we really afford this?
Right.
Because of our various Southfield Road hopes and dreams and hawk signal plans and that sort of thing. So
Right.
I think I for one just need more guidance about what what the big ticket items are and how this would fit into it.
Is it clear with the attachments what we would get with each phase?
Right here.
Yep.
I'm looking at it.
Page 25 of the packet has the colored circles on it. I think keep going. It's the
It looks like
over there,
this, Brian.
right there.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah, right there. I don't know why yours doesn't have any colored circles.
That's the problem,
I must
Well,
say,
it's like
it's,
Adobe
it is a
is wrong.
snazzy looking
It is
So-
playscape, that's
Blue
for sure.
is phase 1, aqua is phase 2, and then everything else in red is phase 3.
How much- How much did we raise from the residents, the pledges?
We raised, it was 18, no, 14. What was that email that you sent the other day?
Oh, like 1,400.
It was like 1,400 from the patronicity, and then there was another 400 from the tip jar.
So, just so I can understand this, in phase 1, we are talking about $580,000.
Correct.
And that 580 will be made up from 40% for MSOC,
Yep.
and then DDA and city is splitting equally, the 33, 48, 85?
I guess that remains to be part of a conversation with the city council too, and Mike, right? With his just city manager hat on, not DDA board member hat, right? Right now, the DDA and the city have both committed $100,000 to that project. So it could end up maybe being split entirely or split 50-50. That could probably be a pretty tall ask for the city. The GDA could say, all right, we see that there's a gap of 141 and we're willing to cover that. And so the DDA could put in that, 240 with the city doing 100.
You're still short then. Unless you split the 348. Because you're 100,
Oh, yeah,
you're 148 short already, just based on the agreement. I think we all could agree that the parking lot needs to be reconstructed,
Absolutely.
but I don't know that if I can support the DDA picking up the balance of the gap plus the difference and saying most of that first phase 1 expense is gonna be your parking lot.
Right.
I mean, I think we'd all agree that we certainly can share in that, but the city should be, I believe, the lion's share of the parking lot reconstruction fee. With the DDA building the gap in the actual play structure would be my opinion, but to Pam's point, I think the board needs to see better kind of how the rest of the funds or projects need to be allocated first before we can start committing these funds. This is, in my opinion, an opportunity to be a game changer for the city and the DDA. And I would like to see it through.
but clearly you're just by my back of the envelope math, you're really 280 grand short, not 141.
Phase one, I'll say, also seems to lack a lot of the wow power that the entire project presents too, so, it's a tough ask in my opinion right now.
What are the ramifications, Susie, of tabling it for now?
I know that the county is, and that was Annika that was calling in. I know the county is eager to get more certainty from all communities, right, that are participating. I think they've got like 12 communities that are confirmed to be participating at this point. So I know they want to get confidence in that number. I think I can probably squeak out a little bit more time to continue to, work on the financing, filling this gap. I did share with them this information earlier this week, and they have come back with some other hey, have you checked out this and this and this and this, and a lot of those things have overlapped. And so, honestly, I'm happy with their, the overlapping of ideas. It means I'm not forgetting something, and that there's still hope for that. So I'm happy to circle back, and we can, table this for now and come back to it in March.
Well, and I think there needs to be some discussion with the city too, because if they can't close the gap also, then there's really no discussion in my opinion, so.
Okay.
Unless you think otherwise, guys, I don't.
And we wouldn't get any funding for just the parking lot, right?
Probably
That would be just on our
because
own.
that was kind of one of the questions I had asked her. Is how far can we scale it back? And she's like, I think their general sense is they would rather see us have.
Scale back the parking lot versus the playground.
No, I think they would just rather see a longer implementation phase to try and get that funding than scale it back, because their goal is, it started off as the revitalization and placemaking grant, right? So placemaking is still the thing that they are that they're looking to have, right? A parking lot's not placemaking. Right. So, certainly, I'm happy to go back and talk to them
Basically, looking at
and
this,
see,
200 grand.
keep trying to
I don't know what
keep
happens
trying to
with
find
the
the
rest
way to make this move forward. Because I do agree with Dan. I think this could be an enormous win for the community, kids. I want those kids to play. Let them play.
Yeah, I mean,
and have cupcakes.
I don't think anybody is against
Right.
providing a safe place for children to play.
Right.
But
So I think it builds. Honestly, I think it really does. And I know I've said this before at previous meetings. I think it really is. It just continues to build upon the things that we've been working towards, and it's nice. I think it'd be a great investment. So I do think it would be a good win. So I'll circle back to the county. Buy us a little bit more time to get a more kind of wrap our heads around some of this, and maybe in the meantime we'll get some more funding in between.
Yeah, and I think too, if you answer, I didn't really look at the details of phase one, but if phase one can include the entire footprint of the playground, so like a playable surface, even though there's not equipment on it.
oh, did you see this?
Yeah, so this is the 200 grand, this thing, but I don't know if that includes all of the.
Oh, no, I didn't think so. Is these three slides, aren't they, isn't that phase 1, phase 2, phase 3?
Yeah, but see, they're all sitting on this playground thing, the actual surface that they're sitting on. If you- if you
Well,
could-
isn't that what this is?
Yeah, but I didn't know if when they do just phase 1, see if you go to the map, go down to the map, I'll show you. No, this thing right here. This picture. Yeah, go back up one, right there. So this is phase 1 in the blue. This is phase 2, and then these other ancillary stuff you see on the side are phase 3. I didn't know if this entire area was included in phase 1. And if so, then
Yeah, I
you
would
have a
think it
lot
would
of
have to
open
be.
protected play area too that kind of comes with phase 1.
I mean, that's the floor of it, right?
Correct, yeah.
So
Mhm.
I don't know how
The
they do
footprint.
that in pieces. They'd have to do it in one
It
piece.
depends on the surface material.
Yeah,
right?
it's not clear in their quote from what I can tell.
Yeah, okay.
Because and the reason being is then you're actually creating a play area, even though there's not equipment on it. It's something to
Right.
consider too, so it would look a little bit bigger, if you will.
Alright. Alright, so I am hearing that I need to, alright, so we want more guidance on the bigger picture. And I can put that together, I'll do that for May. I think I've previously shared with you kind of our very preliminary, like these are the planned projects that we did, and so I'll update that to include all of the things that we've completed, what we've got planned, so you can see
Your mark, yeah.
kind of where we're at.
Yeah, like a 3-year look ahead kind of would be
I
helpful.
can do that, so.
Yeah, and I think probably a little bit more details on the funding gap and a proposed strategy to solve that gap with what the city may or may not be willing, and then what the DDA would be. I mean, obviously, we can't close the whole gap, but
Yeah.
if the city's willing to come in, then maybe.
Well, let me ask this, would it be terrible if we made it like a 6 or 8 year project instead of a 3-year? Would that take forever?
I think that probably drags it out too long. And that's really just my opinion, but.
I think questions for the county funding would also come up since they have to spend their money within a certain period. That would be pushing it too much.
So what is, because you said they would suggest more of a expanded implementing it rather than scaling back. So what was their suggestion?
Really just really extending that timetable and saying, okay, if we have to spend this money, their money, right, by 2026. I mean, technically, that's still almost nearly 2 years of time that we have to continue seeking
Right.
different grant funding. I mean, we could, the DDA, and this, certainly I can include this in our little strategy thing, but, that could be, all right, we're gonna, the tip jar from the music festival, that, like, or maybe all, we could say all the fundraising that we do from here on out goes towards that, or, kind of, we've got all kinds of time, not all kinds of time, but
yeah,
more
within that
time to
2 year
figure
span.
out
Mhm.
how to get those funds, right? So, what they had suggested, hey, what about naming rights, right? I mean, so there's something to think about, right? But I'll keep working on
I
that.
think Ford Field is taken.
Let's
case you-
see. All right. any other thoughts you'd like to share on that?
Get a cost of the play surface. It says TBD in there. I highly doubt it's gonna be free unless they're expecting us to throw a wood chip down.
No, and it can get expensive.
Very expensive.
Usually you'll use the tire rubber
Yep.
wood chips because the poured in place stuff is crazy expensive.
Okay. All right. Awesome. I lost my. Shoot, I lost my agenda.
Alley reconstruction.
Huh?
We're on alley reconstruction.
Thank
We're
you.
done with that.
All right. So, okay, where did I put this sucker? Alrighty then. Well, unless there's no questions, Scott Ringler, you're up next.
Thank you, Susie. So before the DDA today is a recommendation to award a contract for the 2024 alley reconstruction. This is the fourth year of this of the alley reconstructions. This year, there's 2 full alleys and 1 half alley that'll be fully reconstructed, and 5 approaches. So the approaches go from the road into the alley. There's 2 of them on each side of Southfield between Lincoln and Rainbow. And then the half one is on the west side of Southfield, on the north side of Ramsgate. And then there is 1 small approach that's going to be done on the east side of Southfield at Margate. And with that, we did the design. It went out for bid. February 8th, the bids were due. We actually had 11 bidders, which is quite a bit. The bids range from $234,012 to $390,800. The low bid was submitted by a company called L. Anthony Construction Company. They're a concrete company, fairly local. I know they're out of Bruce, but they do a lot of work. They've done a ton of work for us in the city of Ferndale. They do a lot in Royal Oak. They're a good contractor, and our recommendation is to award the contract to them at the cost of $234,012. Giffords Webster's estimate for this work was about $283,000, and I think the DDA we had budgeted about $290,000. So come in under both our estimate and the city's DDA's budget for that. So work is hopefully going to start really early April. We've conversed with them. They're anxious to get going. We really want to get them going and hopefully be out of there before they start Southfield Road. Because there's going to be a lot of maintenance of traffic that's going to extend all the way down near Lincoln.
How long do you think it would take them?
We've given them 2 months. I think that's it's a lot of time, but you know there's some liquidated damages involved if they don't complete on time. So I had to make sure that we gave them ample time to do it. I think they'll be out of there in 4 to 6 weeks, but we gave them about 2 months to do it.
Susie, any concerns here?
Nope. Not at all.
Any questions?
I can ask this since this is new for me here. Do we include contingencies in these?
No, this is outright the low bid. These numbers always change.
Yep.
You know, sometimes the quantities vary. They get paid as a unit price per quantity. I have a little bit of, I call it fluff in there for like undercutting in case they hit really poor soils.
Yep.
If they don't hit them soils, it's something that the DDA wouldn't pay for. But 234 is probably a reasonable number. And no, we usually don't like throw a a lot of communities will throw 20% contingency
That's
on there.
what I was wondering, just for budgeting purposes. But
It's up to you guys. Otherwise, we would just need a motion to award the big contract to L. Anthony.
So how strongly do you feel about this?
if it's not something you've done in the past, I'm not too worried about it. Just for me in my previous communities, it's just always kind of that safety net for budgeting purposes, where you would award it, then you'd add, say we awarded this for 234 plus 10% contingency. That way, if there is something that runs up, they're not having to wait to come back to the DDA board to get something approved because it goes over that 234 estimate.
Well,
It just gives a little wiggle room, and
Yeah, I will say it's very difficult to come back to a board because they're gonna be waiting for answers, and then you get hit with downtime for a month by the time
Yep.
you get back to a board to make a recommendation, so.
okay, well, I would make a motion then to approve the bid from L. Anthony Construction Company for our alleyway and approach work in 2024 at their bid number plus 10%
Contingency.
contingency.
There's support.
All in favor?
No,
Oh.
I didn't say support. I said,
Oh,
is
I
there
thought you
support?
said-
oh, I thought you said support. Yeah, I'll support that. Yeah, that's what I was waiting for. Yeah. I'll second that. Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Mr. Green.
Didn't realize you were forming the question.
Who can send
Is
them?
there support? You didn't hear me.
Okay.
You need some of these.
All right. Ready to move on to next?
Yeah.
Good. All right, so next up we have a facade and site improvement application,
It's like the third one since I've
right?
been here. Yeah.
May not be the sexiest application we've gotten recently, but it is an application we've gotten recently. So, long-time business, Levy and Associates, so Levy Tax right up the road. They're looking to do some window replacements on their property. And 22 windows, existing windows to be exact. As I say in my memo, this is an eligible project under the Facade and Site Improvement Program. All exterior improvements that are visible from the street are eligible. So they have gotten, like I said, they've gotten a couple quotes. The low quote is for $19,500. That is their preferred contractor. So my recommendation, so the Facade Improvement Program does similarly to the sign grant program, 50%. For facades, it's up to $10,000 or 50%. So my recommendation is that we award Levy and Associates a facade and site improvement grant in the amount of $9,750.
Motion to approve.
Is- Is there support?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank goodness.
All right, next up,
It would have been nice to see pictures though.
they're in there. They didn't-
It's hard to see pictures
Are-
of windows.
Oh, yeah, well, I'll make sure that you have there will be pretty pictures for once they've been completed, so I will make sure I have that. All right, next up is the Southfield Road Improvement Project, the RAISE grant. So we did discuss this at our last meeting. I kind of gave you guys a heads up that, you know, Scott, Mike, and I have met very recently with the Road Commission. We will be applying with the Road Commission and SMART actually for a RAISE grant. Honestly can't remember. Oh, it's a Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity is what RAISE stands for. We're going to be applying with them to complete, well, the first phase of the Southfield Road reconstruction project, like the big project, right? So that would be from Meadowbrook up to Cambridge. So essentially the 696 intersection is the one that we'd be going for. We do have a grant writer through SunCog for this particular program. And the Michigan Infrastructure Office has agreed to help us with matching support. So that's marvelous. We are, they're looking for a letter of support and commitment from the DDA, from the city, for this project. I've included that draft for you today. And I would like to, I mean, our combined match, and this is a match for the city and the DDA to come up with, is 1.9, right? So this will definitely, you'll see this in that bigger picture document that we just talked about. we're gonna need to do some work on that. But signing this letter of support is not saying, here's our checkbook. We're still figuring out, but we're committed to figuring out how we're gonna figure that out. So, I really just wanna get your, support, get a motion to submit this, and since Fred's not here, I guess I'll revise this and I will have you sign this report.
Well, we've only been talking about doing this for the 2 decades I've lived in Lathrup Village, so I don't know why we would withdraw support of this now.
Right? Right, so,
So I would happily sign that.
all right,
Are
excellent.
we need to vote on this?
I would like,
A motion?
I'd like a motion, just so we have it on the record, saying that we are in support of this project and moving forward with securing funding.
Just point of clarification, this doesn't include the Hawk
Nope.
signals, right?
Nope,
This is
this
separate
is
from that. This is
Separate.
This is
Yep.
the grand plan.
This is-
of-
exactly.
Of revising Southfield Road. Well,
We've been earmarking money for this since I got here, so.
We have, and this is well, technically they call it phase 2, but it's phase 1 of implementation. There's at least 2 more phases
Two that affect us.
for Lathrup Village,
okay.
right?
So the max raise grant is $25 million, so they've broken it into $25 million stages for submittal. So the first stage is Cambridge to Meadowwood, and then Meadowwood to, I forget what's south of Lincoln, it'd be 10 Mile, whatever that's called down there. Not 10 Mile, there's something else, but, so they've broken this into stages for funding.
Okay.
So.
And over what time span are we talking about now? Is it still pie in the eye?
26, 27?
It was coming soon if they get
This
it.
is for a 27 grant.
Okay.
So, I mean, if we're successful, and I don't recall off the top of my head what the award timeline is for this, but I would imagine it has to be pretty fast if it's going to be a 27 award. So that'll come up pretty soon.
Yeah, motion to approve support of the letter to Secretary Buttigieg for the 2024 raise grant application.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. Brian, just don't leave super fast before we go, okay? So I can print it out, revise and print it out. All right, so next up, Southfield Area Chamber of Commerce. They typically do a combined state of the city for Southfield and Lathrup Village, right? So, Dan, we should probably have conversations too. But so this year they are hosting it at the Mint, and so they have once again asked Mayor Garrett to speak at the event and tout the successes of the DDA and the city. And this is, business focused, right? This particular event. So Kelly's been asked to speak, and we've been asked to participate at a greater level than we have before. So typically the city has a table, and the chamber has asked that, or has suggested that the Lathrup Village DDA has their own vendor table. They're kind of mixing things up with their networking hour and vendor hour, right? So we've discussed having a DDA table and then having the DDA sponsor 3 to 4 vendor tables for our Lathrup Village businesses. Vendor tables are, and I got this information right before the meeting as well. So vendor tables are approximately $150 each. So, for 3-4, we're looking at about $600 for vendor tables for our businesses. We've also discussed, or she suggested doing using their videographer to help us come up with some footage to support our businesses, or to highlight our businesses in the business district, as well as the cost for the luncheon table. So, and then we've been discussing, and Dan and I will probably need to discuss a little bit more. We've also talked about having awards for businesses and doing, kind of need to flesh this out with the EV committee and probably the promotions committee for what exactly those categories would be, but could be longest standing business, business that is seen the most growth in 2023. I'm open to suggestions, right? But the long and short of it is, our requested involvement also comes with a price tag of just shy of $2,000. And again, that would be for the vendor tables, our luncheon table, and the videographer. She did say a videographer would be approximately $400. So,
when is this event? Isn't it?
this is March 25th. So Monday, March 25th.
So a month from now.
A month from
We're
now.
gonna get all that put together in a month.
We are pretty amazing over here.
I'm sure you are.
Just saying. It could be a bit of a tall ask, but I think we can do it. We've done things on shorter timelines, right? So I think we can do it.
All right, I guess I'm not quite following. What would a business vendor get out of this event? What would they bring? Who would they interact with?
Well, so most of the attendees for this event are they're chamber members already. So they're going to be doing a lot of networking with other business owners, right? Whether they are local to Lathrup, local to the broader Southfield area. Obviously, there's going to be electeds that are there, representatives of both us, the chamber.
Is there a theme to this year?
Not that I've been made aware. So they will be doing some networking together, depending on which vendors we choose, or rather, which vendors choose to join us, right?
Volunteer, yeah.
It could depend. We've got, for example, Q-Vine up there next to Michael's Lamp Shop. She's got spa kind of goods, right? So she could have some of the products that she sells available there. We've got, so if retail, bring some of your whatever retail goods you may want to have. If Dr. Felton wanted to come, she could, maybe she could have some information about the programs that she's offering, right? Or same with, Hope for All Seasons, like what are you looking for, that kind of stuff. So it would really just depend on which businesses, choose to participate if we move forward with this.
I think we are doing a table there.
Michigan
Our
First is
business
already doing.
development and our mortgage team, I think, is presenting there. But to her point, it is awareness, and I think there's expected 300 people, or normally comes to 300 people.
It's a pretty good turnout. I'm trying to think of. I've been to the event several times in the last few years. I'm trying to think of everybody that's there. This is a new location. They usually have it in Southfield, so it's exciting that it's being held in Lakewood Village.
And it's a luncheon.
It is a luncheon from 10:30 to 1, I believe, is the timeline, or the time frame. So I would like to see us, at the very least, I would like to see us have.
Will our mayor be able to make it there?
Yes, our mayor will be able to make it.
Okay.
She is, pinned her down yesterday.
Good.
This works within your schedule, yes.
So you want approval to spend up to $2,000 to represent the DDA at this meeting?
Yeah.
And sponsor up to 3 businesses.
Yes. and a videographer, if you think
And a
that that
video.
is something that, that would be beneficial to the TDA, the district, and the overall mission of our organization.
So Brittany with her iPhone.
This would definitely be a step up from Brittany with her iPhone, although she does a great job
She
with her
does.
iPhone.
She does a
This-
perfectly fine job.
Right, this would be an independent videographer. Right.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
During the summer, there was a videographer for that event.
For our events.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Was that beneficial?
I think it's beneficial. Yes.
Well, what are you using to measure that? That's my question.
Oh, that's just
The usefulness of the
the
videographer.
usefulness of the videographer. I do think it does capture the attention a little bit more than just the stills that we got, right?
Mhm.
It does allow us to give a better flavor for the district as a whole. You know, we're not just focusing say, right here or right over there. And I think there is something to be said for having someone with outside of the DDA or even
Mhm.
outside
Yeah.
the city doing that work for us because they've got a slightly different eye.
Does this
Right.
play at the table?
It's going to play during the programming.
Program.
I think it's during the networking
Will we
hour.
have use to this video? We can put it on our website later,
Yes.
so we can, like, to that point, put it on our new website. Yeah, I mean, so, to your point, if you
Yeah.
can reuse it and do other things with it, then just,
Well, use it for our Main Street Award application.
There you go. Right. So okay.
Would it also be on public access?
I think we can get that on public access. Seems reasonable maybe. So
somebody just needs to make a motion. Motion to approve the expenditure for up to $2,000 in promotion of the DDA at the, what is it called? The city,
state of the city.
State of the City, meeting
The
held in
Southfield Area
March,
Chamber of
yeah.
Commerce.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Excellent. Thank you. I will get back to Jasmine this afternoon about it. And then we'll send out invites and additional information as we go forward. All right, getting close to the end. Draft budget. You may have noticed we've got a new city administrator, and he is keeping us on track with our budget calendar. And so, to help us all meet those goals, I've put together draft one, and by no stretch of the imagination should it be considered a final draft. This is my first stab at it. I've already found some things that need to be modified, but I would like very much for your input and thoughts on what you have. So I have given you the overall, and then our snapshot details, right? I do want to note that the two highlighted, yellow highlighted items in that budget detail, the technology and software and the map, those are the technology and software that was for Revise, the current web host for the city's website, which that's where, obviously that's where we have all of our current website information. And so we are sharing about $970 for that one. Now that we're going to have our own, took that out. And then the MAP membership, that's the Michigan Association of Planning, and the DDA has been paying that membership fee, and that has paid for membership for myself and Planning Commission and City Administration. And so we'll be moving that expense to the city since the planning commission is working for the city. I have taken out the artisan market since we opted not to do that, since it was, as I've been saying in the last few months, that juice was not worth the squeeze, right? So it just wasn't as beneficial, and quite frankly, I think we found our jam, pun intended, with the Lathrup Village Music Festival. So I shifted the $5,000 that had been allocated for the artisan market down to the LVMF, the music festival, and then added a couple thousand, so we're at 10,000, which is what we spent last year. I've also taken out the trash receptacles for now. That we've got approximately 13,000 that has that we had in the budget for that. It seems to make more sense to me to just kind of pull it out for now and wait until all our infrastructure stuff is done on Southfield Road before we take the effort to install that. And then I took the DTE tree planting grant match out. That was $2,000. That will be done this spring. And then another happy one that I have taken out is the electric vehicle chargers. And that is because Mr. Green has found us a partner that will install and maintain at no to limited cost to the city and DDA. So that has been removed from that.
How much was that?
That was, I think I had
20.
I think I had 20.
I just heard the state is gonna put in, they have a program now where they're gonna install, I wanna say it was 40 of the highest tier chargers there are, and they're gonna close the gap on all the major trunk lines. So every 50 miles, there's gonna be a starter now. They're doing the first phase of that's $27 million, so,
Wow,
yeah.
that's incredible.
Throughout the entire state, including the UP.
Wow.
Yeah, which is crazy. And it was something like $500,000 per charger.
Oh yeah, they're not cheap.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're gonna do every 50
with like
miles
a
in the
Ford.
UP?
Yeah. Yeah, they're
Wow.
trying to well, it's a phased approach
Yeah.
because it's
And
gonna
just
be-
along the interstates, right?
Yeah.
So not going across the city.
of the trunk line, so like US 2, not like,
Okay.
yeah, so you can get all the way to the casino on a charge, I think, so yeah, great.
And then I will say the items in green, just so you know, those are the things that are kind of changed, right? I kind of adjusted those numbers. The computer might not actually be in there. I'm trying to see how my computers decide to treat me for the next little while, but
One question.
yeah.
All right, part-time seasonal crew. There's $5,000 allotted for that in 23-24, but nothing in 24-25.
So my thought on that was, do we need it? That was originally envisioned to be for like help for like landscaping maintenance assistance, right? That was something we even did a couple, gosh, I want to say 3-4 years ago, right? Back when Chris was involved, right? How can we maybe make this a little easier to find some staff? So we do have in here, and hopefully we'll be able to get this out to bid. Heck, even today if I can finalize my map. But we have in here landscape maintenance under that repairs and maintenance line
Okay.
for $25,000. I've been putting together an RFP for landscape maintenance services, and that would include the maintenance of all 3 of our flower beds, the watering of the hanging baskets, the flower beds around City Hall, mulching, weeding, a whole 9 yards. So knowing that the goal is to get an outside company for those services, it didn't feel quite necessary to have part-time seasonal crew remain in that budget.
Yep.
I mean, certainly, like I said, it's going to be your guys' baby. I'm just the data entry for this, right? So if you would like to see that in there, we can certainly keep that in there. I mean, it could just
I mean,
be.
no, not if the landscape maintenance line item covers it.
Okay.
It's fine. I mean, we definitely need the work done. Those pots do water themselves, but not in a way we, not in the way we would
Not
like
in a
them
total
to.
hands-off way,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
Right, so.
Susie, I'm a bit confused.
Okay.
When you look at the repairs and maintenance, budget is 485,000, and one column it says that is an increase of $67,707. But if you look down at the detail, it looks as if that is a decrease of $20,000. Because it,
Oh, I,
23
Are
was
you looking at the thing that's in
505,624. What's that?
He's looking at these two numbers here.
yeah, but I'm saying if he's,
You're looking at
If you're
what
looking
was
at the
adopted
increase-
versus what was amended.
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
So
I'm
that sheet
sorry.
number 1 has what was adopted, and you guys have amended it since then.
And you know, I was probably trying to get that. There was, as I was going through this the other day, I thought I got all of there was some corrections I needed to make to my own spreadsheet. So I'll have to go back and double check that number Saturday.
And a big chunk of that 485 is the Hawk, right?
100 grand.
No, that's for the 2025 alleys.
Hawk pedestrian
No,
signals
Hawk.
100.
Oh, the Hawk is, the Hawk is 100. I guess the biggest portion is the alley and approaches,
Mhm.
but those will both be 2025
Yep.
construction.
So we think it's gonna, I mean, if we're gonna do more then? Because this year we approved 200, what was it that we approved at the beginning of the meeting?
Oh, the 230.
234.
Yeah, the 234.
So we're expecting we're gonna do a lot more?
Yeah, I think it was a December or January meeting, the DDA decided to move a couple alleys up, because I think originally we had about 160 or 70,000 planned for 25. So we pulled a couple of the alleys forward to get it up near, what is it, 300? Whatever
Yeah,
that number is.
345 is in here.
for
so.
cost savings, is that what we heard?
Cost savings and to get more work done.
Yeah, we've kind of
Yeah.
bounced back and forth, right? Like, we want to be really aggressive and getting all these alleys and approaches done, but oh wait, that's a really big number. Like, let's go back there, so we've kind of a little push and pull on that one. But I mean, honestly, with the way the bids have been coming in, I mean, I don't want to jinx us, but we've been getting really good numbers. So that 345 may not be what it ends up being, right? But
Cause didn't we move the one at Lincoln up, the one behind the old Primerica building? Didn't we move that from when it was previously scheduled?
I don't remember moving that one. I
Not
think it
this-
was still
we
this summer.
discussed it though,
Okay.
when that property owner
Right.
had come to the city.
We were looking to
It
do
was-
it last summer,
Yeah, last
but it
summer.
didn't work out.
And
Okay.
it just, so we talked about it, but I think they were always planned for this upcoming year, this current year, for 2024.
Okay.
I mean, we had discussed moving it up to 2023. But.
So this is just for discussion purposes today, correct? We're
Yep,
not-
just for
we're not-
discussion and feedback, no motions necessary.
I feel like we've been paying for that Hawk light for like 3 years.
it keeps getting moved forward, right? And I think, honestly, I think it's going to end up getting, it'll probably even get split between fiscal years a little bit, right? Because we've asked to advance construct it, which means we would have to front the money,
Yep.
right? But then we've also been told that even if we advance construct it, it won't get installed until 2025 because of material shortages. I've offered, you know, the mast arms by my house since they've been laying on the ground for a while, but road commission didn't like that idea.
And what happens to the Hawk signal when they rebuild Southfield Road then? Do they just incorporate that, or is it in jeopardy then? Do they have to replace it if they do? I mean,
It's not in jeopardy. Like if it's there, it's still gonna be there. Correct me if I'm wrong. It should get incorporated, and if they damage it, it should get fixed by them. But it's a lot of shouldas.
It's not an
Needs-
easy answer
Yeah.
or question to answer right now.
It will definitely be a discussion that's had
Yeah.
if this section moves forward.
On a positive, most of that stuff can be moved.
yeah.
You know, you build a new foundation, you gotta run new conduits, but you should be able to relocate the post and the mast arm.
And we have, I mean, part of that project though was we worked with the road commission first to find that
Right, no, I
location,
understand.
right?
They approved
And
it.
we identified locations that were already in the environmental assessment, which is how, you know, that's the plan, right? That's part of the plan to move forward. So we're strategic in our thinking that, like, okay, if we do this, it's not going to be rip it up and
And move
give
it.
us another several $100,000, right? So.
Okay.
Any other thoughts, comments, input, feedback, things you want me to
What
change?
happened to the
keep?
DDA truck?
That is in this current fiscal year. I actually was just talking to the police chief about, hey, can you help? Because he's looking for PD trucks himself, right? So we're looking into it. We have 46,000 budgeted for that. Still hoping to order and actually take possession before the end of this fiscal year. So,
That was the code enforcement officer truck, right?
Yeah.
so that is still in the works.
Okay.
And that isn't a cost share, right? That's just us. Okay.
We're gonna wrap it in all sorts of bright DDA colors and logos. It's gonna be amazing.
LV.
Rob's gonna be,
Keep one city logo on it. We're paying the insurance.
all right, fine, a little bumper sticker or something, right? But yes, we're still working to get that one. And that, not that it's quite in here, like, oh, yes, that truck was under the miscellaneous expenditures, for last year's, or for this current fiscal year's, adopted budget, so.
Can I ask a question? Because I'm
Yes, please.
trying
Yes,
to
please.
acclimate. What's the purpose of the truck?
The purpose of the truck is, well, couple purposes. Alright. The truck that code enforcement uses right now, the Escape from like 1992.
No.
It's pretty old. It's certainly getting beyond its kind of useful life. It also, our previous code enforcement officer has pointed out that it's difficult to do some of those other things, right? Like he was constantly pulling up the signs, like the
Picking out
the
signs,
yard
putting them on it.
signs, right?
For sale signs.
For
and then-
sale signs, you know,
Open
taking those
house.
things and like, open the escape, and it's like everything falls out, right? So more usability. We'll also be able to use it as we're doing our plantings, right?
Cleanups and volunteer
Cleanups
events.
and, you know, moving our hanging baskets around. Right now, it's that kind of tedious process. Driving the gator, I mean, the gator's wonderful to drive, don't get me wrong. I like wind in my hair.
Well, there was some concern with crossing Southfield Road and the Gator too.
Yeah.
It's not really set up for that. It's kind of like
It's a little dodgy.
Frogger, yeah.
Yeah. So this is overall a little bit more usable and functional for us. So, and we're looking for a light duty truck. We're not doing some, 200, I don't even know, 250 or anything. We're just looking for a light duty to get us around and give us a little bit more space to maneuver.
So I have one other question. This
Yes.
goes to another question I had asked. Do you have, like, in your budget, and I really haven't looked at it yet, but I will, a capital improvement plan where you have money allocated each year so that when you get to the end of life of something, that you have the money set aside for that capital piece?
Yes, and
Okay.
that is, I mean, that's, for all intents and purposes, that's part of the fund balance. And I don't think you've seen that, the spreadsheet that I referred to before, because I think that was before your time on the board. But that spreadsheet is, it looks at our fund balance and the planned projects that we have and how will those things impact that fund balance. So yes, we do have that. And there is a policy that we adopted 2-3 years ago that says, okay, we've got our fund balance is currently X, but in all regards, we have about 900,000 that is allocated strictly for Southfield Road for those improvements. And then we've got, we've also got a set aside for, our operational expenses, right? So, and I can make sure to include that too, if you'd like, in our in that list. I'll include that for next month, so we can all get that refresher and see what it says. So,
Okay, thank you.
yep. Any other questions, comments, feedback?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, awesome, thank you. I will have draft version 2 for you guys next month. Right.
Brings us to your director report, Susie.
And I'm gonna kind of breeze through the report, since it is in there for your review. If you've not already, please register and join us for our time management and mastery workshop next Thursday, February 22nd. Here in the community room beginning at 8:30 a.m. We've got Erin Michon. She's going to be giving us a presentation on how to better manage our time from a business perspective. What are some of the challenges and things that trip us up, and what are some of the strategies that we can use to make it better for ourselves, and how will that positively impact our business, right? So that is part of our Tri-City partnership with Southfield and Oak Park and the Chamber, and facilitated by Main Street Oakland County. So we're excited. It's the first one of the series for this year, and we're going to have there's a couple. We're going to have 3 in person, a couple networking sessions, and then we're going to have some virtual learning scattered within there. So, but be there or be square next Thursday.
You're supposed to say make time to save time.
I didn't want to
It's a
steal
net
your.
revenue. So
I didn't
yeah.
want to steal your thunder
It's like it
or
never
your
happened.
or your minutes. So just hold on a second.
I'm
But
sorry, Brian, I cut you off. What were you saying?
I was just wondering if there's any early indication of interest.
right now, let's see. We had just under 20 registrants earlier this week. So
Wow,
there is
that's a
still
lot more
time,
than I thought.
right?
That's fantastic.
right? We've been,
Nobody else has time to go.
Well, make time to save time. Every
Trademark.
second counts. So certainly, we'll make sure to get that information back out to you. You should have gotten lots of emails, or seen it in
I saw
emails
it
from Brittany
somewhere,
in,
yeah,
in the e-news. So
I think she just sent me an invite, so.
I will send invites. Send calendar.
No, it's been sent, I'm saying, she sent me an invite.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We've got lots of business action happening. Plans for across the street are coming before the planning commission on Tuesday. There'll be a public hearing because they would like to serve alcohol. Jaybirds Bar and Grill, ask and ye shall receive. Okay, they are very eager to renovate the space on the inside and open just as soon as they possibly can. So that will be on Tuesday's agenda for
Is
planning.
that a brand new business?
Brand new business. He has, the owner does have another restaurant in Southfield near 10 and Telegraph. So he is an experienced operator, so that's always bonus, right?
Yeah.
And that's been one of the challenges, I think, with that particular site. Or
It
at
didn't
least
work for Salvador Scalapini, so it has the same experience, but.
Right. Well, we're cautiously optimistic. I mean, I started talking to him at the beginning of January, and he already had a whole lot lined up. So, so that's coming on Tuesday. Also, building next door is coming up Tuesday. So,
He wouldn't be buying the building, be leasing there?
he'd be leasing. Yeah. So, so we've got some good stuff. I am. This last one, gosh, a lot of action this morning before the meeting. 27601, I have heard that there is a brand new business that's going to be going into the former rapid refill space. I have it on good authority that it's going to be some frosty treats that have also been requested by the community. So, ask again and ye shall receive. I will have more information when they are ready to share. So
Great.
that's that. What I really want to make you aware of is the Breakfast Summit. Main Street, Oakland County's Breakfast Summit. This is something they just started doing last year. And this is really an opportunity for DDA boards, staff, and city leadership to talk about how has the Main Street program overall impacted and benefited our community, and how do we, get this message across to the powers that be at the county, right? So it was a really well attended event last year. It would be the agenda's on the back. It would be wonderful to have some representation from the board at this.
When is it?
When is this? This
March
is March
19th.
19th. Mike doesn't know it yet, but I'm dragging him to this. It really is a really great opportunity for us to get some face time and to really express how we've benefited and what we may need to those decision makers. So please look at your calendars. Let me know.
I'm in DC.
Constantly traveling. Feel free to get back to me, and I'll send this out via email. And then you can respond to me, and we'll get everybody registered together. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is the awards catalog for Main Street, the main event, right? We were unsuccessful last year, but we have one program on the rise for a couple of years. They've changed it up a little bit. we are now eligible for everything. And so, to be honest, last year we had some, it was last minute thing, right? So, I don't want to do it last minute because there's some really good awards in here, and I think we have some really good, I think we have some good projects. These are going to be June 6th. I'm not sure what the theme is just yet, but I also want us to embrace the theme, right? Maybe it's Back to the Future. I don't know. They thrown out their Rocky Horror Picture Show. Maybe not the best theme, at least for this. Anyway, so, but I'd like read through. If you've got ideas for award categories that you think we should apply for, please let me know. If you've got a burning desire to write and edit, I noticed she looked down and away, or have a critical eye if you like. But please help. I'm looking for help in writing and putting these together. This is always a really good time. So stay tuned, and we're gonna be writing up a storm here very soon. So on that note, that's everything I have for my director report. Unless there are any questions for me on anything that I've spewed out. Marvelous. Well, then that's all for me.
Is there public comment?
Yep. Just a couple of random thoughts. My name's Rick Wiz. I live on Lathrup Boulevard. Okay, talking about the park renovation. I was wondering,
Rick, can you come up to the mic, please?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Talking about the park renovation, I was wondering, is the parking lot in that bad a shape that it needs total reconstruction? Or can patching be done so that money is saved from that can be applied to the park itself, as opposed to, gee, we've got a nice looking parking lot. Anyway, let's see. All right, when we're talking about the alleys and approaches, any thought given to making all the alleys one way in the same direction, and all the, for lack of a better term, front alleys one way in the other direction, so that you've got good, better traffic flow along the businesses, and you don't have to go in and out and in and out and back and forth. When we lived in Virginia, that was something that was common. Off of Main Street, you'd get off and you could go from here all the way down to 696 without having to get back onto Southfield. And it just made access to those individual businesses a little bit easier. About the bids, about the bid for the alley. Usually, from my experience, pros build in overage to their bid. I mean, they're thinking, okay, building this chicken coop is gonna cost me $75. I'm gonna run into problems or whatever, so my bid is gonna be $100. So that's already in the bid. So with the city, does the city feel like it needs to put in extra money to cover that bid that should already be the builder's responsibility? Let's see. Are we talking about levy tax, or the building? Notice that RV has been parked in front of that building forever. I don't think it ever moves, and I was under the impression that most of the city, you can't have an RV parked in your driveway for more than several days at a time. This just seems to fly in the face of that, and I know it's advertising, but do we have a sign ordinance that says you can't have signs in the right of way? And is this their way of getting around it? Now, I realize they're a big business, a good business, they've been here for a long time, but fair is fair. Finally, just wondering, okay, the DDA is having its own website. Wouldn't it be more economical for the city and the DDA to have a common website? That way you have one webmaster, you have one place that people will go, residents will go, all right, I'm on the city website, I have questions about a DDA, I'll go to the DDA, as opposed to having to go, well, I've got to get out of this, now I've got to go to another website. And are they compatible websites in that? If I know how to navigate the city website, am I going to know how to navigate the DDA's website? I mean, all this stuff is going on right now. This would seem to be a great time to coordinate that effort. So, that's my
Thank you for your
piece.
comments.
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you.
thank you. Any more? No? Okay. We need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned.